Sonic, I saw another hedgehog today, but he was purple and that freaked my eyes out, Big Sonic. Well, Small Sonic, why did that freak your eyes out, Small Sonic? Big Sonic, he had a different skin color and hair color and different physical features. Big Sonic, I couldn't hesitate but to think about that, and I was like looking at him, and it freaked me out that he was like from a different color, almost like an alien. Well, Small Sonic, that appears to be a form of discrimination. You shouldn't really judge people how they look. But Big Sonic, he was looking at me funny, and he acted in a different way, and he spoke a different language, and I just couldn't understand him as a person. I saw him as a different thing. Well, Small Sonic, that is like very prejudiced and bigoted. You need to be open-minded and treat someone else fairly. I'm gonna go and show you him now, Big Sonic. Alright, Small Sonic, I'll follow. Oh! The topic of this video, guys, is gonna be about, is racism a problem? Racism, what the fuck does that word mean? It should be on the screen. But is racism a problem, guys? I'm not gonna waste time trying to explain to you what racism is. Basically, in a nutshell, you get it, it's in the name, racism. You discriminate people based on their like ethnicity and their heritage and what race they are. Like you get a black guy, but he doesn't deal. A black guy. There's like let's just think about it right now. There's like a black guy and there's a white guy, and they don't like each other, and they hate each other because of their skin color and how they look. That is racism, guys. Judging people based off their ethnic heritage and their physiological characteristics that relate to their like ethnic heritage and their racial background. That is what racism is, guys. Discrimination based on ethnicity and race and specific physical features and characteristics and genetics and biology. But is racism, let me see, I got it written down somewhere. Is racism really a problem, guys? You know me, born in England, guys. I was born in England, Pakistani guy and stuff like that, and I used to go to like a school in the UK. You have primary school, and then you have secondary school, and then I think sixth form, and then you have like uni or college or whatever, and then you get a job, whatever. But when I was like a lot younger, I was in like obviously primary school and stuff like that, and one of the things that you immediately notice about school is that like even like you feel more like there's like a type of like like certain like people tend to hang around each other, you know what I mean? Like, the black kids, they typically would more associate themselves with other black kids, and then the white kids, they associate themselves more with other white kids, and then Asian kids more with Asian kids, Indians, Pakistanis more with each other, Pakistanis with Pakistanis, Indians with Indians, Bengalis with Bengalis. It always seems to be like this. Like this is like very much true that you feel a type of belonging with people that share your blood. Is that controversial to say that you feel a certain type of belonging with people that share the same blood as you? Yeah, and this is like so like it's not just like recently that this is the case. Like, this was even true historically. Like, if you look at human history, it's just a big fat bloodbath between different ethnic groups and ethnicities trying to dominate each other. Very much tribalism and feudalism. And racism was very, very rampant throughout our history. Only until now in our modern day society that racism has kind of been pretty much tackled very strongly. Like, it doesn't matter what race you are, you can travel all around the world without any type of issues. Within reason, obviously, certainly you might, if you go to like backwater, like certain places you might experience hostilities. If you're a black guy, you can go to China, Japan. You might, like, maybe racism might be a little bit of an issue, but you can still legally go there. It's not like you're not allowed to go there because you're a black guy. Before, like a couple hundred years ago, if you were black and you would just get kicked out of certain places, certain countries. Same thing if you were like any other type of race, you would be very restricted in where you can go. Is racism a problem, guys? Let's bring it back to like me being a little boy, born in England, Pakistani guy in England, like a little boy, and I was sent off to into primary school. And one of the things that you notice if you're in school, one of the things that you immediately notice, guys, is that blacks, they tend to hang around each other, whites tend to hang around each other, Asians tend to hang around each other. These different ethnic enclaves, they stay within each other's boundaries. It's kind of very rarely, and you notice as well, like the interracial stuff. Like you get a black guy and he starts to like hang around white guys. Maybe I might be a little bit dumbass because I know there's like a lot of interracial mingling now, especially in like if you look at, because that's where I am, British society, there is like a lot more interracial minglings now and stuff like that. But even when I was like in primary school, secondary school, like certain ethnicities would kind of cluster towards each other, come together, and certain other ethnicities would be away from each other. And there would be like these ethnic enclaves, and still is happening today. Like even right now in Birmingham, like there's like certain ethnic communities that they segregate themselves away from other communities, etc. and stuff. It's very interesting to think about this, guys. Is racism a problem, guys? I honestly am kind of lost for words here, because I do believe it's so like this feeling of like being close to people that are of your same blood. It feels so natural to be like that, to care only about people that share your own blood and not to be too considerate of other people that are far away from your blood. Is racism a problem, guys? Honestly, I think if you look at it from a very scientific Darwinian evolutionary perspective, we were like pretty much, human history is just all about like tribal warfare. Pretty much it still is about tribal warfare. It's just that now we have more sophisticated means of like engaging in these types of tribal feuds and warfares. Like, it's not just like a caveman getting a rock and bashing it on some other caveman's head. Now we have like guns and nuclear warheads, etc. But is racism a problem, guys? Trust me, this is so like, if you ever went to like public schools, like primary school, secondary school, if you're in the UK sixth form, then uni and college, you notice that there is like you feel more like belonging towards people that come from your own blood. That is so true. That's like so. I witnessed it when I was in primary school. The blacks, they would be chilling with each other and stuff like that, and then there was like whites, and they were in their own sort of ethnic enclaves, and they like. It's kind of interesting to think about it, and there were like some certain hostilities as well between the different groups, different races. Like the blacks, when I used to go to primary school, I saw like, not primary, secondary school actually. Primary school, I did see a little bit of a couple of fights, but I have like more memories of this like when I was in secondary school. When I was in secondary school, guys, I saw like I don't know if this kid was like, he looked like someone that could be from like Turkey or Iran or maybe Afghanistan, Pakistan, I don't know too much. And he was fighting like a Jamaican kid, and they were like in a feud, and it was like a funny to look at this like these ethnic hostilities. And I do think that it's like almost like a natural component to us human beings, that we have like these like very tribalistic feelings and emotions. Like we're very tribalistic. We're more caring about people that come from our own blood. Is that kind of weird? We care more about people that come from our own blood than people that are more distant from our blood. It's not kind of, maybe that's just like sort of like natural in a sense. I don't know. Maybe in terms of like evolution, like if you were caring too much about people that are far away from your blood, that might be a potential issue, because some that you don't know, like, well what if you like there's like a person that's from a different community, he comes to your community, you think he's like a very nice guy, and so you let him in, but he's actually like some type of I don't know, like violent terrorist that wants to blow everything up and stuff, and so he damages your community because you let him in. And because of this, basically these types of things, I think that's why us human beings, we've developed like these very tribalistic brains. That if you're from like a different stock, you're seen as like a little bit being the other. You're not very, the people from this specific community, they don't want to be very comfortable with you, because you're from like a different stock, a different blood. You come from different like things, so you're not welcome and stuff. These like very tribalistic feelings and mentalities and mindsets and stuff it's like a natural component to us human beings, that we're very tribal. But is racism a problem? I think actually it's not really. I think it's like I like to call this like intuitive intuitive racism. Does that make sense? Or maybe perhaps instinctive racism. That's actually a lot more better. Instinctive, like it's almost like racism is actually sort of like an instinct, guys. As much as like this fucked up, this like liberal society wants to make you believe that we're all like we can all like be in kumbaya together. No, I honestly 100% agree, guys, and believe that racism is almost like instinctive in a sense. I think actually 100% believe in that it's almost like an instinct. Racism is so instinctive to us human beings that we naturally discriminate people that are far away from our own blood and community and stock. It's almost like an instinct in a sense, in that type of way. I honestly do believe that. If you don't agree, like, you know this for sure, even in your own personal life, when you go to like you might be a white guy from America, when you go into the ghetto, do you feel like a closeness to the blacks there? No, you don't. You feel like they're like a little bit, maybe you might be a certain white guy, and you're getting like fucking, you feel like you have like a very like diverse like roster of friends. But like typically if you're like a white guy, you go into the ghetto, are you gonna like feel close to the blacks there? Probably not. You gotta, that type of like these like it's almost like your brain's like, there's like racism's almost like an instinct. Certainly, you know what's very interesting, in prison, look at that, especially in America, in prison, the gangs, it's basically all about like your racial heritage. Like the blacks, they chill with the blacks, Mexicans with the Mexicans, whites with the whites, and if you don't get with that type of mentality and the mindset, you get pretty much picked on. They literally rape you, and I don't want to get into that right into this video, but Is racism a problem? I honestly think it's like an instinct, guys. Racism is an instinct, guys. It's literally, it's like a natural component to our brains. Because if you look at our history, it's all just about tribal warfare. Even like now, all of these like modern time wars, it's all just about like us human beings, certain like ethnic groups, like the Russians going into Ukraine, trying to destroy Ukraine. It's like almost like a tribal feud, almost like a tribal, it's like, we're still very tribalistic. It's almost like I honestly 100% believe in this, guys, that racism is almost like it's an instinct in us human beings. It's so instinctive for us to be racist. It's like such a natural component to our brains. And what's now happening, guys, is that the people in charge right now, they're trying to get rid of this instinct. And honestly, I don't really agree with racism. I think that you should give everyone a fair chance. Doesn't matter what they look like. If they're very polite and nice, you should give them a fair chance. But honestly, guys, if you think about it, even in your own personal lives, guys, you know that it's almost like an instinct racism. You just naturally feel a little bit more agitated, like anxious when you're seeing someone from a different community, different stock, different race, different blood. You just feel that anxiousness. But when you look at someone from the same background as you feel a little bit more calmer. Anyway, but just some food for thought, guys.